So for me, a very good morning to all of you, and thanks very much for coming. Many have traveled from far away, I assume, and Sebastian already asked one question. No, let me turn it around. Who has ever listened to one of my keynotes? Okay, fine. Nina, could you actually bring the mic to somebody who actually gave a show of hand to explain how this works with the movies? Well, the way with the movies, I shout Quo Vadis because this used to be the solution many times before. And normally you show brief snippets, clips or photographs. You also had a rebus, what's the plural? So you show little snippets of movies and then you actually have to fight with me who pressed the button first. I think they're only cups. They're not only cups to win. Yes, they're also printies again. It's beautiful for kids. And you can also dress it with baby born. And it's also useful for dogs because these printies will also survive bites. So you'll see it later when the film references are shown, and those who shout first can win and choose either a signature cup or a printy. And I'll be watching you, of course. At the bottom, today, it's not about the 5 best movies of all times. It's the best sci-fi films of all time. The title, if somebody wants to complain, this was actually evoked by LinkedIn. And science fiction, sci-fi, is of course a good fit because this is about the future. I don't know what you feel like, but I am really shocked at the abilities of AI at times, and it's hard for me to assess what's behind all of this. How much change will there be in future? And it actually gives me some kind of unrest. And this is exactly what I want to talk about with you today. Of course, within the context of products. AI is always linked to this question of, hey, is this really new? Or is this actually old wine in new houses? I don't know what you feel like. Of course, there's some strange people in some strange departments that start with an M who think that actually are constantly looking for the next big thing. And at times, the next big thing looks exactly the same as the thing we had the year before. And this is what I would like to actually drill deeper into. We have a mic here. Go away. Great. I will talk about this a little later as well. For the big topics, when will we be completely replaceable? Let's not think about that. What keeps us on our toes is the so-called Agentic AI. Agentic AI describes systems that think, decide, and act over multiple steps by themselves. They understand your targets, they plan steps, take decisions, and perform tasks autonomously, and very often over multiple process steps. This means that AI turns from a tool into an active co-player in the whole process. Is this totally new? Agentic AI or generative AI? I suppose that we all use prompts and have images researched or text built. Who does this? Who's using AI for this? Okay, yeah. AI is in our both private lives and our professional life. This forms an integral part. But agentic AI takes it to the next level because it acts and understands objectives and takes decisions and performs tasks autonomously, and it learns independently. A good example is planning a trip, for instance. I can plan a trip with a prompt and ask and prompt again, and then I get all of the information provided. I probably also get a proposal for my itinerary. Basically, Agentic AI does the same thing, but now finds the hotel in Chicago, 2, 3 versions, and actually tells me, well, we'll go for this hotel because it has higher ratings. The decision in the generative AI is taken by me. I get an overview. Okay, this probably looks a little nicer than the other hotel. Who of you already deals with agentic AI intensively? Okay. Well, guys, I've seen 10 or 15 people. So when you hear 15 people snoring slightly, then it is because it's not you for them. I try to provide you with a non-too technical overview of agentic AI. A general pattern in IT is, of course, a complex task that needs to be solved. And on the other hand, to abstract it and to map it on various solution layers. It starts with the internet, the IP protocol, which has 7 layers or so. I've actually selected 5 levels or layers of agentic AI. Some technicians will say 5. You can't count. You can't even count as high as 7. For manageability sake, I summarized and compiled it into 5 layers. It is, of course, a little more complex. The lowest layer, the foundation, consists of our LLMs, the large language models. This is pseudo-intelligence we're familiar with. And that is also used in our prompts. This is basically the brain without a body and without a memory. There is a trend here, of course, towards ever smaller and faster and cheaper models that are limited to specific sectors, because the overarching LLMs are relatively expensive. They are not domain specific. We don't see this in our everyday life because the big tech groups investing millions are not fully monetizing their investments yet, but they will do so. The next, and this is what has given agentic AI its name, is the so-called agency, the orchestration. Here in this layer, the individual steps are planned, the decisions are taken based on the targets, the context, and the available data. The orchestration layer actually chooses the strategy, prioritizes options, and actually takes concrete decisions to act. So this layer, compared to generative AI, is one of the new layers. It is responsible, of course, for the smart and efficient management of agendas. Who would share my view that knowledge is one of the most important factors or assets in the company? 1, 2? Yes, good. Many? Very good. And it is true. If the knowledge that is available is used at the right point in time. If it is not used at the right point in time, the knowledge is not usable. It's going to waste. And the context layer, the third layer, therefore, is therefore designed to manage this knowledge. The other way around, the context layer decides or determines whether the AI is only a generic or whether it really becomes an actor, a player. And this context layer needs to be fed with data. And the state of the art is to say, well, we have documents where we describe things, products, processes, and we feed it all into the AI, all fed into the context layer. This is better than nothing to start with, but it will not suffice. We also need procedural descriptions. If you have a support incident, then you have to do this and that. If you surpass a specific threshold or limit value, you have to do this or that. And then you have to inform the human in the loop. All of these are implicit and explicit information, pieces of information within this context layer. Do you still know this old digitalization phrase? Sorry. If I digitalize a shitty process, then I have a digital shitty process. So this is multiplied by a factor X here. So the more I load into it or feed into the context layer, in the past, I only fed poor information into the system, but here I multiply this S. So it is a multiplier for both good and bad things. We will see a few rules for this later. Thorsten, can you?
And he taught me to sing a song. If you'd like to hear it, I can sing it for you.
Yes, I'd like to hear it, Hal. Sing it for me.
Ich glaube, deine Kinder.
Yeah, your kids are a little older, aren't they? Yes, a cup. You want a cup? For all others, you have 4 more chances, and there's 1 portrait, and there's 1 photography that will be shown. So you're still second cup for that answer. Anyone else with an idea? And this person will then get a cup or a printy. Comment off the mic. It's the AI that makes this movie so special. Hell? IBM, yeah. 1 letter in shift. It is told very slowly, this story, in our current behavior. We actually watch a video for 3 seconds. This movie is hard to stand. Dave Bowman, before he does what he does in this snippet, has to go there, and you can only hear him breathing for 15 minutes. Very little dialogue. The tricks are fantastic. And if you wonder why every spaceship in this movie is white, because the first spaceship was white. So it's definitely worthwhile watching. One last question. Why have I selected this scene? Any ideas? Because he switches off the AI. Yes. He actually removes the storage from the higher intelligence for managing the spaceship. But the higher intelligence, the context, is removed. He only leaves the storage for running the spaceship in. And this brings us to the next big layer, which is the control layer. It makes sure that the agents don't mess up. They control the behavior and the costs of the individual agents, and actually include the human to decide what needs to be done. And if there are any mistakes or any special cases, this control layer is designed to create transparency, to minimize risks, surprisingly, and last but least, it ensures that decisions are taken in a responsible manner. Why are we doing all of this? To obtain the last layer, where we are affected as business units of systems for the end products, that is, that use agentic AI. There are dozens of use cases in marketing automation, in sales, in process optimization, in commerce. There are many, many use cases, but I've also brought one along. With agentic AI, I generate a publication. Now, the task is broken down. And you can see here that you want to do a catalog in the category toys below 50 euros. And now the system says, I'm done. And this is call to action now. Well, do you want to see the pages and download the pages? Yes, we always want to do that. We want to see the pages and download them. We could have modeled that in the context layer as well. That's true. Now it has been generated.
And now we have a complete publication that's been generated with Agentic AI. So the selection of the templates is not modeled, but this is how Agentic AI can work. And what's especially important to note, the Agentic AI has been provided with a goal, and according to this, the goals have been set up. So within the print, for example, a type of publication had to be selected. So generally, the way it works is that we say if we only have one, or if the user usually uses the same, then we can just have an autonomous decision. And then the level where the tasks are distributed requires product data. That can then be selected by a different AI. For example, we could say somebody gives us all the products of a category below 50 euros. So which agent selects this doesn't really matter, but this is how the tasks are distributed. They are then collected, and then we have a different level of action. So that's Agentic AI within the context of publishing. Just to give you an example, if you want to see more and understand how this works, there is Dietmar, who's going to do a roadmap talk. Where is Dietmar? Oh, there he is. And you can visit his talk to get more insight. So ultimately, the important question is how autonomously the distribution and orchestration takes place. So you could say we could involve the printer. So let's print 1 million samples, for example. But if you have a task of that scale, you would then have to put the autonomous level from 1% to 99%. But this is actually the core question, which is how autonomously are the agents supposed to make decisions? And of course, this comes hand in hand with certain risks. And for that, warnings on the packaging, and please read the warning on the packaging and understand it accordingly. AI and agentic AI doesn't just lead to efficiency, but also comes with structural risk. The first risk, I earlier said, for example, we get the product from an AI or an API. That's a new additional aspect which comes with a risk. Decisions are difficult to trace. So, for example, why did Printy just decide that we don't look up publications? So, of course, you can track and trace this and monitor this, but to start with, it's rather intransparent. And then when we look to the million prints, and you notice there is a little mistake, then of course it's a question of liability and responsibilities. It's just like autonomous driving. Somehow the automotive companies are not responsible for the security of the autonomous driving. This is then the responsibility of the customer because he or she should have understood the risks. Then we have the dependency on the providers, particularly the large tech companies, because, of course, they want to have a return on investment on their million or billion investments. And this leads us to the next issue, which is calculation of the costs, which is rather complex and complicated. So today we have a token not even costing a cent, and we might come to a situation where in 10 years' time it costs tenfold. And what's very important for you, do not look at this blindfolded. Not each and every task requires AI. So you could say every menial task can be done by AI. That's the general approach we see in companies, but it doesn't always work. And of course, there's always costs that come about. We have examples where it does make sense, but we also have examples where it does not make sense. And I personally ask myself the question as not as a business person, but me personally as Horst, where would I prefer to use agentic AI? So let me give you a little insight in a recent email. So I've been informed by our developer teams. It's a standard Jira information. Jira now decided that I should get an email because I've been notified in the past, or the AI of Jira decided that I ought to be informed. So it's not very clear, the process behind this. So I've got Copilot here, and our CTO said Copilot is a good thing, so we use this across the company. And Copilot now decided, Mr. Huber should get this email, but he forgot to mention Mr. Huber in the email. But this information is good, and I can take quick action based on the information. So, of course, I don't just simply look at emails. I also participate in online sessions with teams, supported by an AI assistant. I go and have some coffee. What else do I do? Yes, exactly. Why is The Matrix one of the best science fiction movies ever? I think it really was the start to a new genre. Anyone who has black and green letters knows what the Matrix stands for. Of course, it also set up a style in movie scenes where you use super slow motion in the scenes where you have bullets. I won't be able to dodge the bullet myself, but of course it's got a philosophical level, the perception of reality, and it can be transferred to today's AI and digitalization. I do not know how you feel about this, but I see a number on my mobile phone. If it's a withheld number, I don't answer it generally, but I've been a bit lazy over the years, and I didn't really administer my phone numbers in my address book too closely. I started to get better, but so what do I need to do if I have a number calling me I don't recognize? I pick up the phone, and every time I'm a little bit annoyed with myself because I get calls from marketing people like myself. No, I want to avoid this situation, and for me, that actually is a bit of a problem because it wastes my time. And because of that, I do not want to waste any time. The difference between myself as somebody who didn't grow up in a digital environment, other than people from Generation Z. And I see we don't have much Generation Z present here, so allow myself to make this joke. I do not want to. They cannot. For Generation Z, the mobile phone is not a device to make telephone calls. For them, it's just like in the Matrix, a digital device to access the digital world. Of course, they have. Talking about telephony and agents, I brought along two interesting figures for you. First figure, 82% of the larger companies are planning to use voice agents within the next 1 to 3 years. And in most cases, I'm one of the 85% of the people who just don't call back. If I do call back, so if I'm part of the customer journey, if I move from simple awareness to actually having an interest, then I do hope that I get an expert on the other end of the line, not an agent. So I'm still hopeful that I might end up speaking to a person. And that's what the world looks like. So we looked at my personal preferences and what I expect from Agentic AI. I want to have my own personal agent who just takes away all the rubbish that I don't need. If Agentic AI is autonomous and intelligent and goal-driven and takes autonomous decisions, then I won't pick up the phone if it rings. My agent picks up the phone, and my agent then decides whether it's worth replying. If it's a new customer, then of course he passes it on to me immediately. But if it's somebody who just wants to sell something, then my agent collects the information and makes a decision whether it's relevant. And the agent might be smart enough to say that it's not relevant for the company right now, but might be relevant in 2 or 3 years' time. If the agent isn't sure, then he informs the human in the loop, myself in that case, and I can then say whether it's relevant or not. This is exactly how I would like to see it. Yes, exactly. So this is something that we will have around in the future. It's not bundled at this moment in time, and for this to work, we need to have this in all private setting and company settings working. We don't want to have 17 digital hosts. I want to have my personal agent that behaves just like I would, and this is the agent I want to interact with. So this then leads to a completely new reality of communication. We have agents that speak to agents. Agents inform human beings. Humans interact with humans or with machines. And that really is the basic framework and the basic change that is taking place in marketing. The traditional concepts of target groups, personalization, are not broad enough. It's not sufficient enough any longer just to have an understanding of your customer. The additional question is our person we interact with a human being or a decision-making machine? We don't just have human beings as targets any longer. In a world that is AI dominated, we also have machines that we need to target. Welcome to the new world. And based on this, in my opinion, it's going to take 3 years until we have personal agents all over the spectrum. Maybe it takes 3 years, 5 years, I cannot tell you. But within the marketing, we have the marketing concept. We have a new discipline, which is machine-to-machine marketing. Yeah, that's you could call it like that. We could call it marketing 3.0 because marketing 2.0 is the generic AI. So we have ChatGPT, for example, taking part in the printing process. So this is today's task of the AI. You might remember the example I gave you about booking a hotel in Chicago. So the Agentic AI gives me an option of 2 or 3 hotels at the same price. And then the one with the best reviews is chosen without asking me, maybe. So from a marketing perspective, if today I look at customer reviews and pay importance on them to avoid a shitstorm on the web, that's a nice to have. Good reviews on the internet is a nice to have from today's point of view. But if we look at machine-to-machine marketing, that then it's an absolutely crucial factor because the machines make their assessment based on the reviews. And based on those reviews, they then decide which hotel is worth visiting. And this is traceable on the basis of machine learning. The other level, when you communicate with people, then the brand awareness and understanding is still crucial, but it's not enough any longer. So that means what we need to do is we need to expand our approach and our thinking regarding the brand. So currently we think on an emotional level, but the emotional level is for the human, and we also need to have the digital framework for the machine, and that needs to be data proof. So what does that mean? That means that trust is not just generated by storytelling. It's not just generated by the perfect customer journey, where at every point in the customer journey you have reliable actions and communication. This is still the conditions we need, but in the future this won't simply be enough. We need to have evidence-based data for the AI. So we could put this in the following words: in the future, we address decision-making entities. That might be a human, that might be an AI, or a whole organization. And this might change within the customer journey as well. Maybe during the awareness phase, for example, we might have an AI, then hell, at this point, what's going to happen in the future? But if we understand this and we accept this and take a deep breath, if we come to a point where we can accept this, then this leads to another question, the question, how autonomously do those systems decide? I brought along an example for you. So let's take the situation where an AI agent does some second-hand shopping.
I need your clothes, your boots, and your motorcycle.
It's, oh dear, I need to speed up. Your housekeeping doesn't quite work. We've got, well, we need to take the 5 minutes from the break. Right, so Terminator 2, we've got brilliant trick technique. We have fantastic dialogues, including scenes like the one you've just seen.
Two robots, two countries, two completely different philosophies about the future of humanoid machines.
Unitree keeps shipping thousands of robots while everyone else is still making promises. While Tesla has revealed Optimus Gen 3 with promises that will change everything we know about automation, one bets everything on AI and scale. The other bets on what you can actually buy today. This is the real showdown.
So this is today, or this is where we might stand today.
Time in human history, an enemy position has been attacked and captured 100% by robots, and these robots also made Russian soldiers surrender. Further in the video, while showing these robots, Zelensky stated that in the last 3 months they have conducted more than 22,000 operations. Whether you believe this to be true or false, this is what the future holds. If not today, then tomorrow.
Im Krieg stirbt die Wahrheit immer.
So the first victim in the war is the truth. And also in the German quality media, you sometimes have occurrence like this. We cannot see how autonomously the robots were, but this is the sad reality today. But question is, what do we do with all this stuff that's around? Sorry, Sebastian, I do apologize.
For the people.
Projections of my subconscious.
Yours?
Yes. Remember, you are the dreamer. You build this world. I am the subject. My mind populates it. You can literally talk to my subconscious. That's one of the ways we extract information from the subject.
How else?
Sam?
Then you break in and steal it.
Well,
I guess I thought that the dream space would be all about the visual, but it's more about the feel of it. My question is, what happens when you start messing with the physics of it all?
Yes, exactly. That's what it was, Inception. It's a dream world. It's dreams within dreams. Who was first to say the right title? What would you prefer, a printy or a mug? Okay, you get the printy. If everything is possible and doable with robots, then humans can only carry on dreaming. Is dreaming the only thing that's left for humans? I do not think that that is the truth, because creativity is something that humans are good at, and creativity is something that makes us able to take quick decisions and also to think anew and come up with new concepts and new thinking approaches. And so within this context, creativity is not an artistic skill, but a core competency for adaptability in this dynamic world we live in, and it helps us to actively design change. So those of you who raised your hands, please raise them again.
Dogs have dreams, but not you. You are just a machine, an imitation of life. Can a robot write a symphony? Can a robot turn a canvas into a beautiful masterpiece?
can you?
Why that is a good movie. The book is brilliant, and you can probably remember the Chinese advertising video with the robot. And they actually copied the robot from this movie. So it's an iconic robot, and the reality now copies what they've seen in robot technology these many, many years ago. Rembrandt? No, you have to return your printy. The one you haven't even got yet. Which painting is that? The Night Watch. So Rembrandt and Night Watch, you both get a printy. Dutch Baroque. Why did I choose this piece of art? Within the course of 80 years, 150,000 paintings of that kind have been made. If you say you have a Rembrandt, then you know this is from the broader context of Rembrandt. This was a work that's been divided into several processes. And there were artists, for example, who just simply concentrated on painting cows. And, for example, we just had an artist just for the cows, and then we had other artists working together. It's a pre-industrial manufacturing process. So it's art, but it's also craftsmanship. So craftsmanship is connected with the creativity. So this is the first photographic image, exactly. No, I think according to my research, it's definitely priint. So we had lightning work for 10 hours in his studio, and that had a huge impact on the artistic world, because from that moment in time, the skill to paint the way we call it photorealistically didn't exist any longer. And this was the start of abstract work and impressionists. And photography as such also developed into a art form. And this is an absolutely crucial point that also applies to the development of AI. So I could sing with you a priinty song, which I could generate with AI, but let's not do that here. Let's maybe talk about that during the break. If AI has artistic skills and puts these in relation, then creativity will be taken on by AI. So, for example, I get on a daily basis cute animal videos, cute cat videos, for example, where we have AI that's creative already today. And I think if we have combinations of creativity and variants of creativity that are generated within second snippets of videos, then we can say, yes, AI is already creative. But the shift that we experience here is on a different level. So creativity in AI does not mean we simply have an idea, and that idea might be generated by the AI, but then we need to decide which idea is successful or prevalent. And this is the new role of the human, to understand the context and to take the responsibility. So the AI doesn't question the whole purpose of the target. And I think this is how we need to approach creativity and newly interpret creativity. These are some of the rules within the context that I mentioned, because we can't distract them from the storage base. These are the context rules that we need to work with. And that leads us to the roadmap and the new understanding of marketing. So traditionally, it's a part of marketing. It's part of the whole advertising industry. So it's support for the sales and marketing guys. So today, marketing within a context of omni-channel is data-driven, works with strategic partners, works across channels, works with storytelling and analysis. The third pillar that we now have is, of course, the whole area of AI, where marketing will then grow further, and AI first will support the customer experience and the core competencies of marketing experience a shift. All three pillars are valid, and not one pillar can replace the other, but this is the long-term marketing roadmap and the way marketing has to develop long-term. And the further right you go in the pillars, the more technology is involved, as you can see, and the technology for the stakeholder will develop further. And because of this, what we try to do with our partners, with priint, is to support all three pillars and to give you the opportunity to be in pace with the transformation speed that you want to choose yourself. We are here to give you support, to give you the technical expertise, and this is what we stood for in the past and will continue to stand for in the future. And with that said, have a great experience during